welcome everybody to our Holy Guacamole holiday special because I thought, what is the least offensive thing we can do that gets everybody across the board and just, everything is just happy holidays now? Even though I am taking one for the team because I personally do not like guacamole. I do not like avocados. So
Really?
when I
I love
no, when I moved or salsa. So when I moved to California and like everything was avocado, like avocado on toast, avocado, whatever, in sandwiches, which was like a new thing for me, or like, guacamole this, guacamole that. And then I would be the guy at a party or whatever, and I'd just be like the guy like this. I'm good. I'm so good. And they're like, you okay? I'm like, it's already got a hint of lime in the chip. I'm good. And there people were just like, ah.
I
And are
can't like
you a big like guac and avocado person? Are
yes,
you?
yep, I love both. In like I love guacamole because you mix stuff in it and then it's a good dip, but I like avocado on certain things like in my salads. Like I don't just eat it plain, but like I have it with
People
stuff.
do. They just take the little core out of there, which looks like a
A spoon and just
mini ball from like a Civil War rifle or something. I'm like, ugh. And it's like,
the seed. Yeah, Camille, when she was a baby, that's how I used to feed her. Like I used to just like I cut it open and I would just scrape the little avocado out on the spoon and feed it
I'm
to her.
so
And
glad you clarified that and said you used to feed her with Civil War weapons.
yeah, I used to
Like
feed
a
her with a
plunger. Like a plunger.
eat, child, eat.
And she's like, this is too historical for me. Um, so I thought this would be a pretty fun topic because I think about this every year, especially, now I'm a dad and everything, and I'm sure you think of it too, but we are of an age when we look back, our kids and our friends' kids hopefully won't have to go through this, but there was a time called the 80s when they would just make, and before that too, they would just make shit for kids. And it had to be tested, I think, to make it safe. But then there was always something where you were like, that's not safe. Like, so I guess I'll come up with a couple and you can come up with like the most dangerous like Christmas toys and gifts that you remember from a kid. One I remember, and it was so fun, was a slip and slide.
Yeah.
But oh my God, they had the little like mallet and they had the thing that looked like croquet arches
Mm.
and you had to hammer them in the ground. And I don't know if they the way like uneven ground or something and they wouldn't quite sit right. And there was always a kid that was just like, I don't know, there's no other polite way to put it. They'd go home bleeding from the butthole because they just slide on their bathing suit and just be like, ah, and then
Yeah.
snakes would come out, or like I said, you had twigs, rocks, just anything. But it was just no matter what, if there was a kid in the neighborhood that got hurt, like invariably a week and a half later, it's like another hot, like July day. Kids are lining up to go right back on it because they're just like slip and slide, slip and slide. They want to be like the kids in the commercial. And there was always somebody that just really got messed up, like just slide, and then all of a sudden they slide. Like the worst was they would slide and they'd go off the slide and then just roll into something, and you were like,
And
"You
yeah.
next."
Yeah.
And then the other one that was really bad when I don't know when they stopped making this. I think when I was a real little kid, were lawn darts, and they used to have like metal tips, and,
Oh
and they had
yeah.
like a almost like a hula hoop like target area, and you'd stand like 15 feet away and you throw them up in the air to try almost like horseshoes, and you try to get them to come down and like the circle targets.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody's dog or cat or brother or sister would always take like a dart in the leg or the foot or the arm or whatever. And the same thing would happen where it was like a week later, it's like another boring Sunday afternoon. They're like, well, let's just play lawn darts again. Just be careful, kids. And then there's just like, oh no, Sparky has two darts in him. Like, well, he's still sprightly. He'll walk it off. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's two. So what do you got? Well, what are some crazy kids' toys from when you were a kid that were super dangerous?
I can't think of any off the top of my head, but I do remember the slip and slide reminded me of a situation where I had set up a tent outside and it must not have been staked into the ground. But like I remember going outside and seeing my tent like rolling, like from bottom to side to top to side to bottom. Like one of the neighbor kids got in it and started rolling and just was rolling around the yard in the tent. Like um, that could have been very dangerous. And then what was the other thing I thought of while you were talking? Gone.
Well, I
I
was rambling aimlessly. Yeah.
we were talking about darts. Yeah, I don't know. We used to play like our family's big enough to like we used to play kickball and stuff in the yard, like well it was still light out before we'd have a bonfire and picnic and all that. And I can't tell you how many times the kicker would kick the my dad would be like the all day pitcher because he couldn't run. And I can't tell you how many times he got kicked right in the nuts with the ball.
Oh, that's like literally that scenario is what that show America's Funniest Home Videos was literally based around. Because when I was a kid and I would watch that with my parents, I mean, I wouldn't say it out loud, but in my head, it always was like, "Welcome back to another episode of Dad Gets Kicked in the Nuts." It was all, the worst, like that's bad, but the worst was always the backswing of the wiffle ball bat, just like,
Yeah.
just like, oh, just down, just Dad's gonna sit this one out, kids.
Um, another
Here's,
toy
go ahead.
I remember, and it was not necessarily a dangerous thing, but I mean it could be because you startled. I always hated Operation because as soon as you touch the
The
metal thing,
shock, the shock.
like you just ah, like you jump and like scream and then like knock something over that because you like jumped. I don't know. That was always a hard one for me as a kid.
I
Um,
remember playing that, and then I don't know if it's like when I was younger, like my cousins would pull pranks on me and stuff, and they would put things that, like when I was a real little kid, that they knew I wanted inside the operation thing, like little tiny like pretzels or like little like Skittles or just tiny like Smarties that would fit in those holes. And they
uh,
were like, well, the name of the game is Get the Candy. And I was like, the box is Operation. They're like, don't look at the box. Just reach in there. And I was like, ow. Ow. And they were just over there like,
laughing.
and I'm like, this is really hard. Yeah, but it's so worth it because you get a treat. What's the treat for you? Oh, you'll never know. Ow.
Yeah.
The other one that, again, I think was when I was really little that I don't know if they can't be making this anymore because it's so messed up because of the ingredients. Was like the home. There were like two different things. There was like the home chemistry set for kids and like the home like FBI like investigator kit. And the investigator kit had like scotch tape is what I would call it, where it was like you can get thumbprints off of glasses and cups and surfaces. And then I was like, now that I'm older, I'm like, wait a minute. Like they had to put something in like a little tin or oval area where you put the thumb and then put it on the tape. And I was like, it was a powder. And I remember talking to a friend of mine at the time, and I was like, "What's this?" And like, I don't know, but it's probably asbestos. I'm like, "Yeah, it's the best for us." And they were like, "Asbestos," and I'm like, "That's what I said." And they're like,
No.
and I'm like, they're like, it's like the stuff that's in the ceilings of the schools. I'm like, joy, and they're like, no.
Nope. Not even.
Um, but the chemistry one, that one I think was outlawed too because there were certain things that they put in the, and it was like adults would never do this, like liquid mercury and certain things that would mix together. I mean, there's
Yeah.
no like chart on the inside of the lid of the box like the periodic table. It was just like, have fun, kids. Like I wouldn't drink it and put it in your eyes, but you're probably gonna anyway.
Right.
And now,
Uh,
is there a couple others that you can remember?
I'm trying to think. Like you got some really good examples there. The only other thing that I was thinking, and they still sell stuff like this, but like those things you put on, like those little disc things you put on, and you pull real quick and it comes off and flies, and it always inevitably
Yeah.
right in the eyeball.
Oh my God.
That's happened many times.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm
What
trying to.
about, I don't think they make this anymore. This is probably all from the 80s. I was just thinking about stuff this morning, probably after coffee. Those, I want to say it was made out of balsa wood, really, really like cheap, thin, brittle, and it had like rubber bands. And it was like a plane, like a toy plane, but not plastic. It was like that cheap wood. And it was
Mhm.
one of those things like you had like another rubber band around the propeller, and then you pulled it and it would fly through the air. I mean,
Yeah.
it didn't go like super fast. It was almost literally like the weight of like a paper airplane with just like a
Mhm.
propeller on it, and you'd be like, "Yay!" And there were so many times I remember my friends in the neighborhood, we would be out in the yard like doing something, and then one of the kids would have those, and they'd throw it, and then they'd turn to somebody and start talking, and then it would just come back and hit one of us in the head.
Damn. Right in the face.
There was one time I can't remember my friend. Yeah, I think it was like his sister, and it got caught in her hair, and it just twirled and twirled and twirled before we were like, ah, and like smacking her head to get it to stop. And then she like went into the house, and I remember the mom came out, and she was like, she got as far, because there's, you're a mom, there's a tone. It got as far as, all right, which one of you? And we were like, just ran away because it was like literally just stuck in her head. And I
Oh.
can't imagine her going to like, Mom, there's a plane in my head. Which one of you? Were like, book it, get the hell out.
Yeah.
I kind of miss that, not torturing my friends, brothers and sisters, but that kind of just being outside doing stuff with a group of friends, kind of like Goonies or something, where stuff would just happen because you're being a
Mhm.
kid. Now it's just like, I don't want to go outside and get a sunburn. Oh, okay. I don't want you to break a thumb. Um, have you ever, this is a good Christmas one, been so excited when you were a kid? And like we used to have like big like family gatherings at like, used to be when we were really little at my grandma's house, and then like got older, it was like at my aunt's house, and there would be like a pile of presents. Have you, when you were a kid, did you ever get so stupidly excited that you accidentally opened the wrong present?
No, I was always disappointing to everyone. I was super excited inside, but I never really showed it on the outside. Like even on Christmas morning, I was super excited to open my gifts, but my parents were like, "Do you like anything you got?" I'm like, "I love it all." And they're like, "Because you don't look excited at all."
Well, there's another thing too. There's that in inert shyness that comes from like and I do it too, and I'm sure you do it too. That the parents are like hovering with cameras, like show us the sweater that grandma knitted. Like show us the underwear package that you got, and you're like, so I know that there's that. So that's part of it too. As you fall out of your bed or something.
I can't get, I don't know. I
What
can't,
that Jen can't have is a bed.
that would happen to me.
Slide on your bed.
That would not, that is not out of the realm of possibilities. So,
I'm thousands of miles away, so I'm safe.
yeah, mostly.
Oh my God. Um, and I know you've done this too. One time, one of my friends and I went sled riding, probably not far from my parents' house, because they were like woods, but they were like hills, so we could easily like not on the side with the road, but like on the other side go down. One time, I was with like a big sled with bigger kids, and I was in the middle, and for whatever reason, we hit like a first jump, and of course, I was small. I was like, and came out of the sled, and I rolled, and my face went slid right into the next jump, and then people would just rode over me.
Oh, gee.
And then one guy was just like, "It actually works better this way, guys. Just stay there." I can't roll my face.
Aw.
And after a while, I was like, "I'm happy to help.
I remember, I won't say who, but a family member. I was probably 9 or 10, maybe, had a motorcycle and took me for a ride on the back and was doing way high speeds next to railroad tracks. Talk about like hitting a bump and almost flying off. Woo! Oh, jet ski. Did I ever tell you the story of the jet ski? Oh, geez. Okay, so we were on a family vacation once, and my brother and I decided to go half on a jet ski rental for like in half an hour or something like that. And I was 14 at the time, and he's 13 years older than me, so that would have made him 27, almost, somewhere around there. So we were taking turns driving, but you have to clip the engine kill slip to you so that if you fall off, it stops the engine and that doesn't keep going. Well, we had switched, he was driving, and then we switched to me driving, and then he wanted to drive again. So I said, okay. And we both stood up at the same time. And I didn't realize he was going to stand up too. And I unclipped it to hand it to him, but we both leaned to the left at the same time. So we both fell off the jet ski at the same time, and the engine didn't kill. It didn't pull out. So the jet ski kept going away from us. And we're like in the middle of the ocean, and there's nobody around us, nobody. And we're watching this jet ski head for like these cliffs, these mountains, like not mountains, but the rocks and stuff by the beach. And so my brother is screaming, help, help, and we have life jackets on, so we're just floating in the middle of the ocean, and we're like, what the heck? It took forever. Finally another jet skier came by and saw us just floating there, and so David's like, I'll be right back. I'm like, you're gonna leave me? I'm 14. So he hops on the back of this other guy's jet ski, and they take him, he took him to get the jet ski that we rented that was getting away from us. And finally he comes back and gets me, but that was the longest like 2 minutes of my life. It felt like an eternity. It felt like years. It felt like I was like floating there for a year, not knowing if anybody was going to come back and get me. But yeah, that was my jet ski story. That's the stuff that happens in my life.
Oh yeah, me too. And I had so many stories about, and I won't tell them all here because there's only so many hours in the day. But so many stories about just shopping with my mom, and she just stops to look at a price or whatever. And this was always like toy store or grocery store, but there were a couple of times, and I've heard about these things. I've blocked them out mostly, but apparently one time I was doing in my own little world in the cart, and then I got out of the cart. I didn't want to sit there anymore, and I was just walking around. And when you're a little kid, like 4, 5, 6, in your own little world, you don't really, everything that's above your head, if you're like 3 feet tall, you're like whatever, especially if you're in a toy store. So I remember like saying something to my mom like, well, can I get this? And her being like, no, it's like 3 weeks until Christmas, and you've already like mailed your list to Santa Claus. And I'm like, and then I remember like blah 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 doo, 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 singing a song, and then getting back in the cart and being in my own little world, and then toys being put in the cart. And I remember saying like, oh, can I open this one and play with it now and put it back in the box at the register? And then being told like, sure, I don't see why not. And I was like, yay. And I was like, do playing whatever. And then probably like it must have only been like 2 minutes, but it probably felt like when you're a kid like 20 minutes. So I probably opened like 3 or 4 things. And then I was just like, blah, 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 blah. And then I was like, you know what? Like, this looks better on the commercial. Like, I don't want it. And then I remember coming around the corner and then hearing over my head, oh my God. And it was my mom's voice. And I was like, you said, and then I looked up, and the woman pushing the cart was not my mom. And then the voice of my mom was on the cart facing the other way on this aisle. And she had just been standing there, not moving the cart, but I had gotten into this woman's cart and she didn't even know. And then there was another little girl sitting there, and she's like, "Are you gonna get out of our cart?" So she thought she was talking to her daughter, and her daughter was standing there with like one of those little like pies in a box. So
Hmm.
she thought she was telling her daughter she could eat the snack and they would pay for it in the checkout. And I had opened like these big like toys and whatever that had just been put in the cart, and the little girl was just like, and my mom was like, "Get out of the cart now." And I was
Oh
like,
my God.
um, is Santa gonna know about this? She already knows. And I was like, it's just one of those things though, when you're that little, probably even younger than your daughter's age, it's like you're just in your own world. And like I
Yeah.
said, everything above 3 feet that happens, and if you're not interested in it, you don't care, you know. And it was just one of those things where I was like, this one was better than the commercial. Oh, I felt, I don't even know, I'm sure my mom had to like give the woman like money, because it's like, once you take that stuff out of the box and you're moving the arms and legs, who knows what it was? It was probably like Barbies or something. I don't know. Like, hey, I don't want this. Take this one. Maybe this one will be a Barbie, even if it says it on the box. You know. Oh, I was
These-
that kid though. I guess the word is ornery,
Yeah,
or
that doesn't surprise
or
me.
as we call them now in 2021, little shits. Come here,
You
you
were,
little shit.
yeah, I could see you being very high energy as a kid.
I guess I was high energy, but I was also really like curious and everything. And I was, like I said, in my own little world. And yeah, there were times when I would just go off and wander and explore and climb things. And my parents would be like, "Get down here now." And I was like, "Oh, how did I get up here?" Oh my gosh. Um, so were there gifts that your friends got when you were a kid that you were like kind of jealous of, that you just couldn't believe that they got?
No, I had the opposite problem. I remember when I was probably about my daughter's age, I was 6 or 7, and I had so many gifts under the tree that I actually started crying because I felt bad
Oh my
that I had
God.
so many gifts and wanted to give some of my gifts to children who didn't have any gifts to open for Christmas Day. So my mom actually let me pick like 2 things to like give to the needy. Yeah, that's how weird I was as a kid. Like
I didn't know that you were like a little miniature Sally Struthers back then, trying to. That's kind
I
of cool. I mean, I remember, you know, the worst thing, not the worst thing, one of the worst things about being a parent and trying to like pick out things, because I'm sure my parents had the same problems that we have. And it was, I think it was worse in the 80s because it wasn't electronics, it was more physical toys.
right.
Is every 6 months to a year, the kids are just not into whatever it is. So
Yep.
when you're seeing stuff that's like coming out that's on sale like in the fall, and you're like, maybe I'll put that on layaway, maybe I'll, you know, whatever, because they're really into it now. And then December rolls around and they open it, and they're like, meh.
Yeah.
Because the big physical toys when we were kids, they got really unwieldy and like really pricey. Like I make this joke all the time about the Transformers animated movie where there was a character named Unicron. He was a planet. And the
Uni-
joke I always make is like, wait a minute. If you're as big as a fucking planet, do you need to turn into a robot? Like we're already impressed. You're coming to kill us. You're a planet. You're gonna kill us. Like I'll kill you, but wait, hold on. Wasn't that in Spaceballs when the spaceship turned into like a maid?
Yes, yeah,
If she
yeah.
sucked up all the air from the planet, yeah. I mean, it's just one of those things where they used to be just like little cars and trucks, and then they got to be like dinosaurs, then they got to be like where you connect them to make a big robot, and then there was one that was like a city, and after that, my parents were like, no, but I no, because the problem is not only was it expensive and the parents had to like sit there and like help you put it together and put the stickers on and everything, but invariably 6 months to a year later, it's in the back of your closet.
Yeah, I have find that I finally went through all of my daughter's toys and stuff, and most of the time when I get rid of stuff, she doesn't even miss it. This last couple months ago when I did it, preparing for her birthday and Christmas and all that, she finally noticed something was gone, and she's like, "Where did all this go?" And I was like, "Oh, I don't know, sweetie. This is why we need to put our stuff back in the same place every time."
The used toy elves stop by.
Yeah, I don't know. So you got two different coffee cups you're drinking out of there?
One is water.
Oh, okay.
Like I've been pounding coffee. I mean, it's, you know, a little bit earlier here, but I've been up for a couple hours, so I had to get some stuff done this morning. But
Coffee out of
um,
my cup, so I got my water bottle.
all right, well, I guess we can wrap up the holy guacamole. I almost bought guacamole, and then I'm like,
Why?
right? Like it would be funny for like a 30-second thing, and I'd be like, oh, well, am I gonna eat it? Oh no, I'm not gonna eat it. So
And you
I
can't give it
actually
to
only had one chip, so I'm gonna show the bag again. These are some of my favorite chips. I don't
him.
like salsa either, but yeah,
You
these
don't
are
like salsa?
Tostitos hint of lime, and for a while they weren't available in the store, and yeah, it was a shame.
Ah.
Who's the idiot now?